Good morning everybody and welcome to Finding Our Adventure. This week we are talking about van life with our cats. It is the most requested video we've ever been asked for, and we get asked questions all the time about what it's like to travel with cats and how we do it. So after the intro we're going to get right into it.
Hi everyone and welcome to our channel. We are Hannah and Jonny, also known as Finding Our Adventure. In 2020 we converted our Ford Transit to live in full time. Since then, we've been on an endless adventure with our two cats, Tia and Skye, exploring, living and working in our tiny home. Join us each week for a new episode of Finding Our Adventure.
In 2020 we started taking Tia and Skye on the road with us, and then in 2021 we moved into this van full time, and so we're going to run through all of the experience that we've gained over the last few years of living on the road with cats. One of the biggest hurdles that we faced when getting Tia and Skye ready to live a life on the road in full-time van life is getting them harness trained. We got Skye just before COVID, and so she was a kitten and we started harness training her almost straight away. But Tia, she was about 7 or 8 years old when Skye came along, and so we had to teach a much older cat how to be harness trained, and she really didn't like it to start with. We tried lots of different harnesses. We tried some that went straight over the head, we tried some that went over the body and under the collar area, and we found that some of them worked, but they really didn't like it, especially Tia. She doesn't like anything going under her tummy, so every time we had to put her harness on, she really didn't like it. And then that's when we came across Superkit harnesses, not sponsored by Superkit, but these harnesses have been fantastic. So you literally put their legs in the harness there, and it's just one quick buckle up at the top, and they both absolutely love these harnesses. It's got two D-rings here to attach their leads to, and they're super comfortable, super convenient. They can pull on them as much as they want, and they've never grumbled or seemed to have any issues with these harnesses. So these are our top pick for harnesses when you're getting a cat ready for van life, or just want to harness train a cat in general. So for obvious reasons, it's not easy to train a cat to be on a harness, but it can be done. Even with an older cat like Tia, it just requires a lot of patience. And once you get them through the comfort stage, so when you put a cat in a harness for the first time, they kind of flop over because it's a bit more restrictive and they're not used to it. But as soon as they get over that stage, you can then get them ready for lead training. And we started off lead training them with short, non-adjustable leads. But then we brought these adjustable leads once they were fully harness trained and fully lead trained, because it gave them a little bit more freedom. It gave us more control over them as well, especially if they got spooked and started to pull. We could let them pull off the lead without getting choked or anything, or any accidents. And these are actually dog leads, but you can get cat specific leads, and these have been fantastic. So these are 5 meters in length. They've got a nice comfort bit here, so there's no wire to get caught around them or anything, and they absolutely love these because it gives them so much freedom, especially when we get to beautiful rural areas in our van. We can let them out on the lead and they have a great time. So one of the things that we really relied on when we were training our cats to be harness trained is that Superkit provide training videos as well, and they were really good, full of information, full of top tips and everything of how to get your cat ready and trained on a harness. And the one thing that you have to be careful with cats is that they tend to try to back out of their harness. So they can always pull forward on their harness, but if they start to pull backwards, they can actually squeeze their arms out, and that has happened on a few occasions. Especially Tia, if she gets spooked by something, she'll turn around and try to back up, and she can squeeze out. And that actually leads us onto this week's video sponsor. We get asked all the time, what do we do if Tia and Skye went missing? And that was one of our main concerns when we first moved into the van, and since 2020 we have been using TRACTIVE GPS pet trackers, and these things are fantastic. 34% of all pet owners are likely to lose their dog or cat at some point in their pet's lives, and we really want to minimise that, because obviously being on the road full time, the van moves and we are not in a set location. So we were worried that Tia and Skye might get lost or confused, especially when they're constantly in and out of the van in new locations. So being able to attach one of these trackers to their collars means that we can, through the app, keep track of them at all times. These TRACTIVE GPS pet trackers are so good. As I said before, these were the ones on the market that we saw that we wanted the most, because they were the most convenient, they had the longest lasting battery, and they also cover worldwide, which is fantastic. plus with the app, it gives us the peace of mind to take Tia and Skye anywhere. So this specific tracker we've had since 2020, and we've got 2 of these, one each for Tia and Skye. They have recently, I believe, updated it and released a cat specific tracker, which I think is slightly more lightweight and even more ergonomically designed for a cat, but these work just as well. So basically what you have is you have this back bit which has elastic on the back, and you can undo this and attach it to their collars, to their harnesses, and it's really good and flexible, and it's also really convenient to get off. And then the next bit of the tracker is the tracker itself and also the battery. So on this specific TRACTIVE tracker, it can come apart and you can charge the battery separately, and then you've got the GPS units are here. So I think in theory you can buy multiple batteries of these, so you can just plug them in and take them off if you need to charge them. But yeah, these are our favourite trackers by far, and they work so well, and Tia and Skye love them. They don't have any issues wearing them, and it keeps them safe and keeps us on the road with them full time. So as you can see, currently the batteries of both Tia and Skye are empty because we haven't charged them today, but it's still a really great example of how to use the app. So you have a live picture of where your pet is at all times. You can turn on the live button at the top there, and it gives you a real-time update of where your pet is. And also the fun thing is you have an activity tracker, so you can compare your pet's activity levels compared to other pets in the area, which is really cool. And we also noticed that Skye is a lot more active than Tia, so we need to get Tia moving a bit more. We've linked everything in the description below, so if you're interested, go click the link and you'll be able to see everything that we've just talked about for yourselves.
So I'm going to tell you a bit about how we travel with our cats abroad, and specifically within the EU. So we actually got our cats EU pet passports when we were in Ireland, and we initially had to get them animal health certificates, which we won't cover in this video because it's quite complicated, but that is another thing that you can use basically to get your pets abroad into the EU. But currently we have pet passports, which has been absolutely fantastic, and it makes travelling so much easier. And you have to make sure that your pets have got up-to-date vaccinations, and within each one you can put a photo in there, and it also basically shows all of their vaccinations and the dates and information about them.
And their microchips.
And their microchips, yeah. So this is really, really important and makes our lives so much easier whilst we've been travelling around Europe. Right, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we got hold of these EU pet passports. So we had to get an animal health certificate initially to begin with, and that cost us £300 in total, which included their rabies vaccinations, and that allows the cats to enter for 4 months in total, and that is only one entry. So we travel quite a lot, and we knew that that was going to add up very quickly in terms of cost for us, and so we wanted to try and get our hands on these EU pet passports. So when we went to Ireland, we went to a vet in Ireland, and we were able to get them EU pet passports, which cost around €200 for both pet passports for Tia and Skye. So they all had their vaccinations all up to date, so it only just cost for the administration of these. And you also need an Irish address, and luckily I have family that live in Ireland, so that's how we were able to get hold of these EU pet passports.
Our worst nightmare on the road would be any emergencies or reasons to go to the vet, and we've never had to do that on our travels so far, but recently, a couple of weeks ago, we did actually have to go to the vet. We woke up one morning and Skye came and jumped on the bed with us, and I noticed one of her claws was cracked and bleeding a little bit. Luckily we were near a town in Portugal where we were able to phone a vet, and the vet was fantastic and saw us straight away, and we're going to show you that experience now. Good morning everybody. So today's start was a bit of an interesting one. Jonny noticed Skye this morning. She normally comes for a little cuddle in the mornings and a little sleep, and Jonny noticed on one of her paws that her claw is a bit broken and there was a bit of blood on it. So we spoke to the vet back in the UK, and they have suggested that we go to a vet to go and get her sorted out. So we're just on our way now. Of course, Skye hasn't really had any issues, has she? I don't think, since we've had her. Almost had her 3 years this year. So she's had a pretty good track record until now. So yeah, so we're going to go now and go and get her seen at the vets, and hopefully they can sort her out. Hello.
not dramatic. Normally with cats, with dogs, I mean, what I say to people.
So we just met the lovely Sophia from the vets. She's called Dr. Strange as her clinic, which was quite funny. And she basically told us that Skye is in a bit of pain. There's not much we can do. She clipped it a little bit.
Yeah, she clipped the bad bit off.
Yeah, clipped the bad bit off. And she's given us some disinfectant that we have to put on twice a day. And then also to go and get some cream from the pharmacy. But we have to try and distract Skye after we've put it on, just so it gives it enough time to soak in and just to avoid any kind of infection from happening. So I guess it's good news, but she said it could take up to about 30 days for it to be
that's the
better.
That's the claw regrowth time is 20 days.
So got to keep an eye on it. And she was very good in the vet. She said that she was very well behaved.
She said that with Portuguese cats she would have never been able to do that what she did with Skye.
yeah, she was being very patient, so good news I guess. It's started to rain now, so we're just going to head back to the van and take shelter.
Skye has just had her first medicine on her paw where she broke her claw, and she's feeling a bit sorry for herself.
Yeah, it's a bit hard because we have to try and distract her from not licking it off straight away, so I'm trying to give her cuddles and we're trying to give her treats on her, like how she is now, but she doesn't take them when she's on her back, so yeah, it's quite hard. So hopefully she doesn't like lick it all off straight away.
She's feeling a bit sad, isn't she?
But she's just woken up from a nap, so she's very active.
So luckily for us, that experience all worked out well. Skye's claw is growing back nicely now, and it wasn't that bad of an experience. It was fairly cheap. I think it was only like €29 or something, and we had our vets on hand, as I explained in those clips, to get some advice for Skye as well. So it all worked out well in the end, but I would stress that make sure if you're in a foreign country to have a vet in the UK that you trust and you can rely on and that you can contact at any time if you need to.
What do we do with the cats when the van breaks down? So we carry cat carriers and they are foldable, which makes it really easy to store, and it makes sure that the cats are comfortable when we're moving from the van to another place to stay whilst the van is being fixed. And we also carry a portable litter tray, which is basically in a container with a lid, and it has clean litter within it, so we can easily take that with us. And we also obviously take their food bowl, their water fountain, and everything that they need to be comfortable.
You might be wondering why we have a portable cat litter tray for emergency situations. Well, that's because when we built the van, we built it very specifically with the cats in mind. And now we're going to go through some of the features of the van that makes it habitable and safe for the cats when we're with them and also when we're not with them. So before we get into this, just want to say some of this stuff is already covered in our van tour video that we filmed last year, but we'll give you a quick run through now because it is interesting, especially if you're planning to convert a van with cats in mind. So as the litter tray in the back of the van is their emergency one, we do have a fixed litter tray underneath the box seat here. Luckily it's nice and clean. I did clean it this morning ready for the video. On the one side there's got all of their storage, so their food and everything stays in there, and also their collars and their harnesses and everything goes in that side. But then in this side we've lined out a litter tray and built a litter tray in here, and they also have a cat flap here because they do like to kick the litter out sometimes. So that's why we have an emergency litter tray, because this one is fixed within the van.
Okay, so moving on from the litter tray, how do we keep the cats cool during the hot summer months? So recently we experienced 40 degrees Celsius in France, and that was very difficult, but we managed to stay cool, and the cats also managed to stay cool. And one of the ways that we do this is we have window covers for all of the windows in our van, and that just helps to keep the sun out and keep it much cooler. Another thing that we built within this van is actually creating air circulation. So we have a fan at one end of the van, and then we have a roof window vent here so that we can open up and it creates a draft. Also, the van walls are highly insulated, which basically keeps the van really cool as well. So what we also have is a cooling mat, which I think we bought at like an Aldi or a Lidl, and it has like a gel within it and it keeps cool, so the cats like to lie on that. But one thing that we found out actually during that summer heat wave was having wet towels, and the cats loved lying on the wet towels. It actually felt cooler than the cooling mat, and they absolutely loved it. So we definitely recommend that, because we didn't think that the cats would like it, because cats usually aren't that keen on kind of water in general other than just drinking it. So that was definitely a great discovery. We also make sure at all times, regardless of whether it's hot, that they have water on tap. Basically, they have a water fountain, so that's constantly flowing with water, and we also make sure that they have a bowl of water as well, just in case if the electrics fail, there is a backup.
One thing that can be quite scary for a lot of animals is being in a moving vehicle for the first time. And what we did was, when we were getting them ready to move into a van, is that we would take them in their cat carriers on very short journeys in our car, just like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and then gradually building up slightly just to get them used to the moving of the car. They always associated being in a vehicle as going to the vets, so we were quite keen to make them aware that that wasn't always the case. So we'd give them treats and reward them for their behaviour of getting used to being in a vehicle. And now they are so good. Like, literally, as soon as the engine turns off, they both have their spots which they quickly go to, they sit down, and they are fantastic. One thing you do have to keep in mind is that your pet, your cat or your dog or whatever it may be, will let you know when they're starting to get uncomfortable. So Tia and Skye will start to cry, or they'll start to move around a little bit when they might need a toilet break, or they just need a break in general from driving, especially on long distances. So even though Tia and Skye will tell us when they're starting to get a bit tired of driving long distances, we still plan in regular breaks and break up our long distance driving fairly frequently to give us a break, but also Tia and Skye a break, because it can be quite a lot for them to sit still in one spot.
Where do the cats sleep? So that is one of the most interesting questions, because actually they have quite a few spots, but the cab area at the front is where the cats love it the most, especially when we're stationary, because we kind of use the bed area quite a lot, and the kitchen area. So cats actually also really like small places, so they are normally under the chairs or on the chairs or just lying out on the floor. At night time, Skye actually still comes up onto the bed with us at night time, which is very cute. And Tia is just more than happy just sleeping at the front in the cab.
We hope that's answered some of your questions about living in a van with cats. We know that we've had to gain so much experience very quickly when living in the van with Tia and Skye, because it's a constant changing environment. They're constantly learning new things, new smells, new sights, new sounds, and it's just been an amazing experience. It's not always been easy, but it has been very rewarding.
Yeah, definitely has been rewarding. In the end, it's taken its time, but we've got there. So we hope you enjoyed this video, and please, if you've got any more questions that we didn't cover in this video, let us know in the comments, because we'd be happy to answer them for you, and we will see you in the next one.
See ya.